King Henry didn't hold back. He was brutally honest about DeAndre Hopkins, and the message was crystal clear. Calling the veteran washed only fuels him to show up even bigger. Anyone who underestimated Hopkins has reason to worry. And the crazy part? In just the first 2 weeks of the season, Hopkins has already shown he can still change games on his own, making incredible catches and pulling off tough touchdowns. If he's performing at this level already, you won't believe what he might do in the games ahead. Derrick Henry couldn't have been more direct. He wanted opposing teams to keep calling DeAndre Hopkins washed. For him, that kind of talk only gives a wide receiver more motivation, and Hopkins has been using the criticism to silence everyone on the field. Henry said it all with a smile, making it clear that this narrative has almost become a gift for the Ravens. It's like the label being done turn into pure fuel. Instead of holding Hopkins back, it's only made him show up even bigger in crucial moments. Henry knows the NFL loves to start this kind of conversation once a player hits 30, but Hopkins' proven age hasn't taken away his ability to decide games. On the contrary, every catch he makes sends a message. Just because he's no longer in his physical prime doesn't mean he can't dominate. Henry's stance also shows the vibe inside the Ravens locker room. There's a clear confidence that Hopkins still has plenty to give, and his teammates not only believe in him, but actually enjoy watching opponents eat their words. The trash talk became a storyline, and the storyline became motivation. It strengthens a team and builds an even bigger sense of unity. And the best part? All this talk about him being washed falls apart when you actually look at what he's done in the first 2 weeks. Contested touchdowns, tough catches, plays that remind everyone of Hopkins at his peak. There's no way to watch and think this guy is done. That's exactly where the critics' narrative loses power. If Henry is asking opponents to keep calling Hopkins washed, it's because he knows a veteran will have plenty of chances to respond on the field. And that brings us to what Hopkins has already shown this season, because it's not just talk. He's already proving he can be a game changer. Right from his first 2 games with the Ravens, Hopkins proved he doesn't need a lot of time on the field to make a huge impact. He's pulling in contested catches, scoring long touchdowns, and hitting moments that make it feel like he's gone back in time to remind everyone who he is. At 33 years old, Hopkins has shown he still has that instinct to change a game with a single play, which is exactly what Baltimore needed in its offense. These plays aren't just pretty to watch. They change the course of the game. A 23-yard touchdown, a 29-yard touchdown, all in tight situations where the defense seemed to have the upper hand. Hopkins finds ways to get the ball even with minimal space, showing he still has the confidence and skill that have defined his career. These are the types of plays that not only put points on the board, but lift the entire team. And here's the interesting part. He's producing all of this in very few snaps. He hasn't even been on the field much in these games, but when he is, he leaves his mark. That makes him an even bigger threat because opponents never know exactly when he'll be targeted. They just know that when he is, the chance of him turning it into a big play is huge. His season start isn't just about stats. It's about impact. It doesn't matter how many passes he gets. When the moment comes, Hopkins shows he can still be the difference between winning and losing. That presence commands respect in the locker room and fear from opponents. And if the first 2 games already brought this kind of impact, imagine what could happen once Lamar Jackson really starts building even more chemistry with him. Which brings us to the next point. The quarterback's trust in his veteran. When your own quarterback talks about you with that much trust, it changes everything. Lamar Jackson didn't hesitate to highlight just how special Hopkins has been. He said that no matter how the ball comes his way, Hopkins finds a way to catch it. 1 hand, 2 fingers, it doesn't matter. Lamar's confidence is clear. If he throws it, Hopkins will find a way to make the play. This kind of connection is rare and usually takes time to build. But the most impressive part? It looks like Lamar and Hopkins are already starting to develop that chemistry right away. The QB knows he can trust a veteran in tight moments, especially when a play is needed to break a defense and keep the offense alive. For Lamar, having Hopkins on the field is about more than just numbers. He's a go-to option in critical moments. That player you look at, even when coverage is tight, and think, I can throw it because he'll make it happen. That's exactly what Hopkins has been doing these past 2 weeks. Lamar's public trust also sends a message to the rest of the league. He's making it clear that Hopkins isn't just part of the plan. He's central when games get tough. That forces opponents to rethink how they defend Baltimore. It's no longer just about shutting down Mark Andrews or watching Zay Flowers. Now there's a veteran who thrives when the pressure is highest. And what Lamar recognizes on the field, Hopkins now has a chance to turn into history, which leads us to the next point, a record no Raven has ever achieved before.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.
This Monday night against the Lions, Hopkins has a special opportunity. If he scores another touchdown, he'll become the first Ravens player ever to record a touchdown reception in each of Baltimore's first 3 games of the season. It might sound like a small detail, but it's a milestone that has never happened in a franchise and could mark the start of a new chapter for the Ravens offense. This isn't just a stat, it's symbolic. It shows that right out of the gate, Hopkins isn't just fitting in. He's become one of Lamar's main targets in crucial situations. Being the first to do it would completely erase the washed label and prove he still has what it takes to write big chapters in the NFL. The Ravens have always had strong rushing attacks, but they often lacked a receiver who could be trusted in those high-stakes moments. If Hopkins pulls this off, he proves he can be that piece. The player who changes the face of the passing game and brings the consistency the team has been looking for. Even better, doing it against a team like the Lions, a team on the rise with a tough, aggressive defense, only reinforces the idea that Hopkins has returned as an impact player in any scenario. This wouldn't just be history for the Ravens. It would send a message to the entire league. And this moment is even more powerful when you remember where he came from. A tough 2024 season full of criticism and numbers that didn't reflect the player he is. Which brings us to the next point, his rebirth in Baltimore. Not long ago, Hopkins was seen as a player in decline. Last year, with the Titans and Chiefs, he posted the lowest numbers of his career, even alarming those who had always trusted him. For many, it looked like the end of the line. But in Baltimore, he's already writing a completely different chapter. Interestingly, even with limited playtime, just 18 snaps in his debut and 10 in the following game, he managed to make game-changing plays. It shows it's not about being on the field all the time. It's about showing up at the right moments. And Hopkins still knows exactly how to do that. This rebirth isn't a coincidence. The Ravens trusted him, gave him a chance, and he responded immediately. Now, with every practice and every game, he's likely to see more opportunities in the offense. Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator, has already said Hopkins' role will grow, and the more time he gets on the field, the bigger his impact will be. After a season full of doubt, Hopkins found the right place to prove everyone wrong. And if this start already shows so much, imagine what he can do once he's fully integrated into Baltimore's offense. That's the big expectation surrounding him now. The point is clear. Hopkins isn't washed. He's rewriting his story. And if he keeps this up, he could turn this opportunity into a season of affirmation no one expected. DeAndre Hopkins has proven that the wash talk is just a rumor. With Derrick Henry backing him up and Lamar Jackson trusting him completely, Hopkins has already started the season showing he can still decide games on his own, with spectacular catches and touchdowns that remind everyone of his prime. Every play confirms that age is no obstacle when talent and experience come together at the right moment. And most importantly, this start only makes the season more exciting. If Hopkins is already impressed in just the first 2 weeks, what's coming next? Every game is another chance for him to make history with the Ravens, and the team only gets stronger because of it. At the end of the day, one thing is clear. Anyone who underestimates Hopkins may regret it fast. He's proving he's still a serious threat on the field, and Baltimore stands to gain a lot from it. Now the question is, how far can King Henry and Hopkins take the Ravens this season?
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.